wife for 35 years, and I loved her. I knew who she was, but you're showing, too, so meaningful to us, and thank you for coming. We've gone to get more chairs to put outside. We're going to capacity in here, but we're going to put chairs outside for those who want to sit and step outside and do it. I think the microphones are, hopefully the speakers will work out there too, they're supposed to, and they'll be able to hear if you want to go out there with that. But anyway, it's just, I just want to thank God and thank you for all the tremendous support you give me in what was the worst day of my life last Tuesday. But boy, I just don't feel worthy at all, but I feel very grateful to you and to the Lord for all the ways in which you're helping me get through this. What we're going to do here today, and what are you up there doing this for? I wanted to be the one to run the funeral today. I really wanted to do this for her. We're going to start off with Jacob Grant's going to come up here and read the obituary, and then Ralph Walker's going to lead us in a prayer, and then Tim Pierson's going to lead a couple of her favorite songs. I want to say this about songs. We have 4 songs today, 2 at the beginning, 2 at the end, and they were her father's favorite songs he liked to lead church, and they were ones that were her favorites. We sat around and talked about some of her favorite songs. In fact, the last one we're going to sing is Sing and Be Happy. We said, what are you doing that at a funeral for? It's a celebration of life. But at our house, every time we had a family reunion, every time we had a potluck, every time we had Christmas or Thanksgiving or anything, we all held hands and sang Sing and Be Happy today, and we had a prayer before we ate. So we're going to do that again today. So we're going to end on a very positive note. And I want to let you know, too, that after I've done my talking and some of the kids have done their talking, Steve Melton's going to come up here and do some cowboy poem for us. He writes cowboy poetry. He's going to do one in her honor. And then I'm going to open it up for anybody that wants to come to the front and say something. You're welcome to come up and say something as long as we have time to do it. And if you don't want to get up and say something, there's cards in the back somewhere where you can just write a comment or something and leave it for us so we can remember your memories of Vickie, okay? Well, thank you, everybody. Javon, if you come up and do the obituary, and then Ralph for the prayer, and then it's going to do these couple songs, okay? Thank you.
I normally try to memorize everything I articulate, but I knew if I did that, I'd mess up, because she truly was such a special woman, and I figured why mess what's on this paper out, because it perfectly describes her. So I'm going to try to do my best to get through this. Vickie Annette West was a woman of virtue. She was born December 3rd, 1953 in Ocala, Florida, to Hascal Christine Hill, who raised her in a loving home until she graduated from Forest High School in 1971. The Hill family embraced the Ocala community wholeheartedly, and Vickie was no exception. She worked as a legal secretary and helped her parents run Hill's Men's Shop, a high-class menswear store. Soon after marrying her soulmate, Dade West, in 1989, Vickie moved to Dade City, Florida. It became her lifetime home. Through their commitment to others, she and David would impact countless lives throughout their community, as you can see here, just looking around left and right. Vickie loved effortlessly and served selflessly, always ready with a glowing smile, a kind word, and a helping hand. An unwavering Christian and stalwart member of the Dade City Church of Christ, Vickie shined her light brightly. She was a fountain of blessings and advice, brimming with compassion and wisdom, which she called common sense. She raised her children with boundless love and celebrated their accomplishments with pride. When Vickie was with her family, her heart was full. Vickie was a talented gardener, leading the Dade City Garden Club's Dogwood chapter. She was a masterful cook, famous for her unbeatable chicken salad. In the early years of the Academy at the Farm, board chair Vickie fought to keep the school open for her child and later grandchildren to attend. In recent years, she was a fixture of downtown, operating Betty Cakes, selling for Keeper Jewelers, and helping her daughter run Garden of Eden Salon. At the end of her life, Vickie and David traveled the country, often winding up in her favorite place, the beach. Vickie left this life on February 27, 2024, giving up her home here for a home with her God. She is survived by her husband of 35 years, David, children Jennifer, Jessica, Noah, and Joni and Morgan. Grandchildren Matthew, Noah, Ellie, Nathaniel, and Michael, and 5 great-grandchildren. Her mother and her sisters, Sandra and Sharon, also grieve. Vickie lives on in the life she touched, the family she raised, and the community she helped build, looking down from heaven with a smile on her face. Here's to Vickie West.
Vickie was the caterer for all 3 of our daughters' weddings. And when I was the alumni and public relations director at Florida College, we did many events together. And the one thing I think I would say that might really resonate with all of you here, Vickie was one of those people who wanted to make events happen for other people so they could be together. And didn't she do that today? I mean, even in her passing, so many of us are reconnecting with people we love, and I can't help but think Vickie is smiling. She's done that once again, brought us together here. Would you join me in a prayer, please? Lord, our hearts are in turmoil and joy today. We come here to grieve with a family that has lost a linchpin in the West family. Vickie held things together for her husband David, for her children, for her grandchildren. And we grieve at the loss of this, our sister, and so suddenly taken from us. But at the same time, we joy and feel joy. We rejoice that your servant is with you, that she has gone to the reward we all covet, and that the reunion she has experienced among the saints of all the ages makes this one seem insignificant, but not to us. So we who are gathered here to comfort the family and to honor and rejoice in the life Vickie West lived, we honor you as the maker of this, our sister, as the creator of the heart that so often matched and sought to match the heart of our Lord Jesus, who came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for the many. And some of the many are gathered here today to give thanks. We are but a small coterie of the great family you have created. Lord, comfort the hearts of those who grieve most deeply. Make them to realize that this is your will for your daughter, and that it is the faith of all those who seek to serve and bow the knee to the Lord Jesus. And our hope is in him. Our life is in him. Our redemption is in him. And it is in his holy, blessed, unmatched name that we give you thanks today and ask you to hear us. Amen.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Javon. It means so much to have people you can call on to help you through something like this. So I wrote some things down because I wasn't sure how well I'd be able to do this, and I asked your prayers to do this, and I can do it. First 3 days I cried almost all the time, and then I got down to every hour or two, and now I'm down to a few hours in between. And I hope I can do 30 minutes here without. And thank you so much. It's just unbelievable, the support. You just don't know how much it means. I put it down, I'm Dade West, because some people may not know me, but I'm Vickie's husband. Now, I always liked that she had her own orbit in which I could just be Vickie's husband. In so many places, she's David's wife, but in a lot of places, I'm Vickie's husband. And I really appreciated the way everybody embraced her. She was loved by many, as evidenced by you being here today. We were a good team for 35 years. I thank my Lord for every day of that time. Proverbs 18:22 says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. I've always said that one should always feel like they married up. And I think I did. I think I did. Somebody said men marry hoping their wives will never change, and women marry hoping they will change. And I was a 35-year project of Vickie, but I wasn't always valuable in her hands. I wasn't always willing clay to be molded and made the way she wanted me to be, but she made a huge impact on my life. And I told people the key to a happy marriage is to love each other unconditionally. I had a couple came to see me back a few years ago that they showed up on the doorstep from Texas, and I had done their wedding 20-something years before. And they said, David, every year they had their kids with them too, they were like high school seniors, and they said every year we show the video of our wedding. And my kids know our wedding as better as anybody else does. And they said, you said one thing in that wedding that really has helped us through the last 20-some years. I said, tell me quick, I don't know I said something that helped somebody. It's good that something was good. And they said, what you told us in the wedding told each of us that if we would determine that we were going to make that other person happy every day, whether we ever had a day of happiness or not, you couldn't fail to have a wonderful marriage. And they said, we've lived that. We've always focused on how can I make the other person happy? How can I serve them and fulfill them? Not myself. And so often people say, well, you're not making me happy, so I won't make you happy. You're not doing it for me, so I won't do it for you. But I said, no. You just serve them, whether you ever have a day of happiness in your life. And if both of you will do that, you can't miss having a wonderful marriage. Well, Tuesday was the hardest day of my life. And I told some of the people at the church that after 50 years of preaching and trying to help people find comfort and assurances in the promise of God, I now face my own test. I have to ask myself, do I really believe what I've been telling everybody for 50 years? Do I really believe all those things are true? And I have to tell you today, I do. More so than ever. More so than ever, I believe those things are true. So I've been putting my own personal test, and I hope I'm going to come out in a way that pleases her and pleases the Lord. Back here. So, I want to tell you how we met, because people ask that a lot of times. So I'm not going to tell you all the details, but I'll just tell you a summary of it. It was back in 1988, I was preaching for the Church that's north of town. Young, single guy. I was about 30 years old, had never married. And I was still single, still trying to find the right one. And I got a call from Collie Caldwell, who was the president of Florida College at the time. He said, David, the church in Anthony, outside of Ocala, has me scheduled for a spring gospel meeting, revival meeting, and you for the fall. And I've got a conflict. Would you mind switching with me? And I said, well, let me look at my really busy schedule here with nothing on it. I said, yeah, I can do that. So I went in the spring. Well, it just so happened, I went up there to the little church in Anthony, just outside of Ocala, and I spoke, and I got done the first night, and on the way out the door, Joanne Johnson, who was one of the elders' wives, came to me and said, David, what do you think about Vickie? I said, Vickie who? She said, oh, she's sitting right there toward the front and everything. I said, I couldn't. What do you mean? She's married, she's got kids and everything. I said, no, she's divorced and got those beautiful girls, and she's a wonderful, wonderful lady, and you need to meet her. And she started doing her matchmaking. And then it wasn't long, of course, there's all this manipulation that comes in, not subtle at all. Very clear what they're doing. And then Vickie's mom got involved. And she was very, I'm not going to tell you all the stories, but she worked really hard too. And there was a lot of people that worked really hard. And so we started dating a little bit, and she would come down on some of the weekends to Trulicoochee and spend the weekend with me. And Steve and Sandy Melton put her up in their house. And they had little girls too, along with Vickie's little girls, and they loved playing together. But Steve and Sandy really, really helped us out during that time to give her a place to stay while she was down visiting me on the weekends. And several times when we were dating, she'd come back and say, forget it, I'm done, I'm out of here, I don't need this. And I wasn't being attentive enough or whatever, and she'd say, okay, I'm going home, not coming back, or whatever. Sandy, throw herself in front of the door. No, you can't do that. We need you. Somebody's got to take them off our hands. And so they worked really hard, everybody worked really hard to get us together, and I'm really thankful and glad they did. We needed lots of help to get that done, but I'm so thankful. I really believe the whole thing is providential. God wanted us to get together, and I never had considered marrying a divorced woman or a woman with children, but I can tell you that she was, I believe God planned for me to have her, and it was what a blessing it was. And so thanks to all those that helped that happen. I want to read to you a little part of Proverbs chapter 31. It's called The Virtuous Woman, and many of you are familiar with this already, but it really describes Vickie. I think she really fit the bill here. It says, an excellent wife who can find? She's far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. You know, Vickie could sew with the best of them. She could cook with the best of them. She did ceramics. She did all kinds of crafts. She could work with her hands, and she definitely was good at that. She is like the ships of a merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it's still yet night. She didn't do that all that often. It was usually after but she rises while it's yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it, and with the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. Now, all of you that knew Vickie knew she was a force of nature, right? When she walked in the room, you knew she was there. And she was just so strong and so helpful to people. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hands to the poor and she reaches out her hands to the needy. She's not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, and when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and she delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellency, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Doesn't that describe it? I think it really does, and it's very comforting to read that about her. You know, she was a Bailey woman. Her grandmother was a Bailey. And if you know the Bailey family, you know that all the women are very confident, strong, take charge type people. It runs up. What's that? Bossy is the word I'm always saying. They are take charge people. And she did. And she would get things done. She always got to me. She hated anybody procrastinating. And I was a pretty good procrastinator. It's like, let's get up and do it. Let's do it now. Don't need to wait. Don't wait tomorrow. I used to say, look, a man says he's going to do something. Don't start nagging him every 6 months about it. So she got things done. And I'll tell you what, in 35 years of us being together, I never once remember her ever knowing the right thing to do and not doing it. She was about doing the right thing at all times, whether everybody liked it or not, whether everybody agreed with her or not, no matter what the cost was, she was going to do the right thing. I'm not saying she was sinless. I'm not saying she didn't make mistakes and have weakness and failures. She did. But I never knew her to say, this is the right thing to do, but we're going to do something else. She never did that. She was a rock in that regard. And she always said, I want people to do things now. And she never would wait for anything to happen. She had to get up and do it when it needed to be done. And if she just said that if everybody would just listen to her, she could make everything all right. They just listened to her. So to her, everything was black and white, common sense. I would get up and if something would come up and I say, I got to do a book on that, I'm going to read this and find out. She says, look, here's the answer. Forget the book, because there's the answer. And I said, let me read the book first and then find out she's right. She always knew the right thing to do. So, she was a master chef. She did catering for 30 years. She had the cake shop, marvelous cakes and things. By the way, we have some today from Ocala. The Betty Cakes from Ocala. We've got some today for dessert, so if you stay around for lunch, you might get a piece. Betty Cake. And she loved the beach. It was her happy place. We already had a week reserved at Longboat Key and went to our beach for the summer that we won't be doing together, the kids and I will be. She loved the beach. I love the mountains. So we went to the beach. That's what we did. But I wanted her to be happy and have what she wanted. I did so many other things she supported me in. When she wanted something, I wanted to give it to her. And my dermatologist told me that with my complexion, I should move to North Dakota. So I wasn't really a fan of the beach because of the sun and every time you go to the dermatologist now to burn the stuff off and cut the things out and all that. That's part of that. But in Ocala, when she graduated from high school, she didn't like school. She didn't go to advanced education. She just went to high school and glad to get out. But she went to work for a school, a special needs school, and later she became a legal assistant for a large law firm in Ocala. And then she also worked for her parents' men's store. They had a very popular men's store on the square in Ocala, and she worked for them for a lot too. Well, then, after we met and got married, we had to get married out of self-defense because we were seeing each other almost every day. And one of us having to drive home late at night and try to stay awake on the highway, not get killed on the highway going home. We finally said, we got to quit this. We're just getting married, so we don't have to keep driving home every night. And so I dragged her down with me. I was preaching at the Trilby Church at the time, so I dragged her down to Trilby and Rich Manor from Ocala. And you think she loved me? It was a great culture shock for her. I loved it. It was a great culture shock for her. But she was glad to do it because she loved me. And then we moved to tell you something that, when I was at Trilby Church, I mostly spent my time reading books and studying and just knew the people in the church and a few of their friends. But when we decided to come down to Dade City, I told her, I said, Vickie, we're going to change what we're doing. We're going to get involved in the community. We're going to get to know everybody. When I go to Walmart or go to Winn-Dixie or wherever I go, I want to see people I know and recognize people. And she embraced that with me. And as you know, I've done a lot of that kind of thing over the years, last 30 years here in this area. And let's see, it's been about 30 years in here, close to it. And we've immersed ourselves in the community. And she worked on the school advisory board at LaCucci Elementary with the girls, San Antonio Elementary, Pasco Middle School, Pasco High School. She was president of her circle at the Garden Club. She helped me with Rotary, the Paul Harris Fellow, and honorary member of the Wesley Chapel Club. We had many amazing trips together in Rotary. I went through being a district governor of Rotary, and Rotary just gave us many phenomenal trips together. And I'm so grateful we were able to do those. She was an amazing caterer for 30 years. I told her when we first started, she was getting started, and I said, now Vickie, here's my advice to you. Don't go compete with Johnny's Barbecue and all the other people and buying hamburgers and hot dogs and getting $10 a piece for the food. You're going to kill yourself and not make much money. I said, you need to become a caterer to stars. You are so phenomenal. You don't need to be doing hamburgers and hot dogs. You need to be doing Chateaubriand and floating islands. And so she became the personal chef for the president of Florida College, president of St. Leo, the president of Paso Hernando, down at USF, bank presidents, on and on. Those people hired her as they knew. Advent Health, she did board meetings, all kinds of things like that. And she was in great demand when somebody wanted to go on a party. And what I loved about her too, she would go down and do things, and she'd say to the person, just let me in the house to do the stuff. You go get your hair fixed, you go take a nap, don't worry about anything. And when your guests get here, you visit with your guests, and I got everything under control. Imagine people throw parties all the time, and they spend their whole time working, they can't even visit with the guests. But she said, you take care of your guests, I'll take care of everything else. And she did in a masterful way. Had Betty Cakes for 3 years, and everybody loved Betty Cakes, didn't ever work with that. And by the way, we have some amazing cakes here for dessert, thanks to Candace of Betty Cakes Cafe in Ocala for providing those for us. And I told her when she first started, our friend Betty Williamson is the one that created the recipe up in Ocala. And we were good friends, and we talked to him about starting one in Dade City. And we were going to call it Betty Cakes. And I said to her, I said, you know, from now on, your name's going to be Betty, right? And she said, I don't care, as long as they bring the money, I don't care. And I still had people come up and say, how's Betty doing? But it was all right. We had a good time with it. Yeah, she worked part-time after she retired from Keeper Jewels. She had a great career with them, and they loved her, she loved them so much. Now she was working part-time with our daughter Jessica with the Garden of Eden Spa and Salon in Dade City. She was working as a receptionist a couple of days a week over there. And they were connecting and much better, having a better relationship. She was seeing people in town, and she just loved doing that. And just to tell you about her last day, I want to tell you 2 things about her last 2 days, just to give you an idea. She taught a women's Bible class on Monday afternoon at our house at 1:30. And Monday, there was about a dozen women there. And she read the lesson. She didn't like being a teacher or a speaker or all that kind of thing, but she did it because it needed to be done. And so she read to the girls the lesson out of the book, and then they started talking. And they said there was tears, there was people opening up, there were people that were taking the masks off and that kind of thing, and really drawing close to each other. And before they left, they took a big stack of greeting cards and signed them and sent them out to people. Did all that. And she told me Monday night when she came to bed, she said, you know, it's really been a good day. I just love those women and what they're doing and how they're coming together as family and all those things. She was real happy. And I said, Vickie, I'm really proud of you for what you're doing. You are doing an amazing thing, and I'm so proud of you for that. Well, the next morning I got up at 5 and left the house at 5:15 and had meetings almost all day, was gone. I called her at 8 o'clock to tell her good morning and to tell her I loved her and all that. I did call her at 8 o'clock before she got busy. But, you know, she went out that morning and did jazzercise. And then she went to work for Jessica for a few hours. Then afterwards, they went shopping for a little while. And she was very happy, bouncing around. Everything was wonderful. She was wonderful. But we thought that she was having gallbladder attacks, not heart attacks. The hospital made us think that she was having a gallbladder rather than heart problems. And so we didn't think she was having a heart attack. So we didn't do anything about it. We just kept trying to wait for her to take the gallbladder out. So she came home, she changed clothes, and she ate lunch, late lunch. I happened to come in about 3:30 from all the meetings and things, and I was supposed to go back out at 5:30 again. But I came in, and she called for me, and she told me she was really hurting. And I was able to lay her on the bed, put a washcloth on her forehead, and rub her back a little bit, because it was hurting through there. And she just coughed a couple of times, breathed out, and she was gone. And I did CPR while the paramedics were getting there. They worked on her an hour, did everything they could. They worked heroically for her, but there wasn't any bringing her back. So, again, that was the hardest day of my life and my children's lives and so many friends. I think we had 50 people in the emergency room at that time. They just came pouring out of her. I was surprised they didn't tell us all to get out because we were taking over the emergency room with all the people coming in to see us while this was happening. And so, I want to ask you about a couple things. There's some things on my heart that I want to kind of ask you to think about with me today. First thing is, how many remember 9/11? Everybody's over 20 or something remembers 9/11. Remember how we felt that way? How horrible that was, that happened? And how were we on 9/12? The day after. Democrats and Republicans loved each other, saying God bless America together. Imagine that, oh my God, in Congress. There's no road rage. People were smiling at strangers walking down the street. We were being so wonderful. I just have to tell you, Dade City area, when somebody goes through something, it is unbelievable the way people respond and come out and support everything. But here's what I want you to think about. What are we going to do next week? We go back to fighting with each other, being ugly with each other, gossiping, slandering, kicking people when they're down. Are we going to do that again? I hope not. Remember this day and remember how beautiful it is to love somebody and to how we feel about things like this. And let's keep it going every day. Let's not quit. Let's keep doing it every day. Let's love each other. Let's show each other grace and mercy. If you're looking down on somebody, do it in order to pick them up. and help each other. That's my plea to you. I mean, Vickie's plea to you. That all of us going forward, we just remember this and just keep this going. And Tim, I just remember I didn't call you up to sing a song. I'm sorry about the song. We're going to sing songs in just a minute, okay? So I'm sorry. I just jumped ahead of myself there, but all right. So anyway, any donkey can kick out a barn, but it takes a carpenter to build it, doesn't it? Yeah. Let's be builders. Let's stop judging people on how far they still have to go and celebrate how far they've come. We can all be kind. We can all smile. Everybody's going through stuff. Let's show them mercy and grace. Let's be satisfied that the last thing we said to somebody is something we want to say. I sometimes tell people, I say, and I like this, I've tried to live this for many years. Live every day as though it's your last day, and treat everybody as though it's their last day. Because someday, you'll be right. Make sure the last thing you said to somebody, the last interaction is something you'd like to remember as going forward, okay? She had a great last day. I talked to you about that. I just want to tell you, I really want to be like Jesus. Our theme this year at church is Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. Fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith. That's our theme this year, and I've been preaching sermons on Jesus mostly because that's what I want to do. And I've been thinking a lot about him and how Jesus loves people. The common people, the sinners, the people that were rejects in society, flocked to him and heard him gladly. His compassion and love for people was unparalleled. And you are agents of his today with me, and I hope you will continue to be with others. Jesus went about doing good, Acts 10 says. Jesus went about doing good and healing people oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. That's something I like to be on my epitaph. He went about doing good and helping those oppressed by the devil. Everything Jesus did was for others, even on the cross. He took care of others. You remember, if there's ever a day that Jesus could have said, look, today's my day. I'm really going through a lot of suffering here, hanging on this cross. I don't have time for anybody else today. What did he do? He prayed for the people that were killing him. He saved the thief on the cross. He made arrangements for somebody to take care of his mother while he was hanging there on the cross. And this week I've gone to funerals, I've gone to the nursing home, I've gone to the hospital. And people say, what are you doing here? I said, I want to be like Jesus. Even in his worst day, he was still thinking about others. And that's what I want to do. And I hope you will too, if you aren't already. There's an interesting passage where there was a complaint people were making because Jesus was baptizing more people than John the Baptist. And you know what he said? He must increase, I must decrease. We need more of him, don't we? So, I read this just recently. Somebody said, some of you guys are playing hide and seek with Jesus. And one of these days he's going to say, ready or not, here I come. And I hope none of us get caught unprepared or unready for that. So everybody's been so kind to me. Frankly, it's been overwhelming. I don't feel like I deserve it, but I certainly appreciate it. It means a lot. It's going to help me be more compassionate and loving toward other people. The other night I was talking to Brett Hunter. I'm down here and preaching Saturday in Tampa, and he said, David, remember the movie A Wonderful Life? At the time when George Bailey was at his very lowest, and what didn't think what life was living, and all that kind of thing. And everybody in town came out and told wonderful stories about what he had done, how he had helped, and they all just rallied around him. That's the way I feel with this. People that come and tell me stories about Vickie and what she's done for you. It's heartwarming, very heartwarming. So I'm going to try to pay it back, but if I can't do that, I'll pay it forward. And I want you to know, I think most everybody knows, but I set up a fund for her at Florida College, my alma mater, and it helps adopt students that need a little financial help in getting through school. And if you read her obituary at the bottom, it gives you a link you can use to go to it and make a contribution. Just as of yesterday, I think it was up about $3,500 that have been donated in her name. And if you feel so inclined to do something in honor of her, that'd be a great thing to do. So, yeah, it's amazing. I want her legacy to live on and her do stuff even being dead yet speaking. So she cannot return to me, nor would I want her to, but I can go to her. And every day you say about the child that was going to die, I say that about her. She ran the race and will receive her crown. She didn't play at it. She didn't live her way and then expect God to receive her in heaven. She always was about Him. What a blessing and comfort that is to me. One less reason to stay here, one more reason to go there. She longed to go to heaven and be with her Lord and Savior. I do too. I pray you'll want to go with me, and that we can all go there together. Heaven is worth it all. And as Dee Bowman used to say, and he preached, he always ended by saying, if you miss heaven, you just missed all there is. Just missed all there is. So I would go think about that. Tim, come on and lead those songs for me. I apologize for getting this out of order, but these songs are songs that Vickie loved, and they're going to be on the screen. The words will be on the screen. If you want to jump in and sing along with us, we'd love for you to do it, and it'll be a good tribute to her. And then what I'm going to do, go two. Because after we sing these two songs, I'm going to have children come up and say something about her. Steve's going to do the Cowboy poem. And then anybody that wants to get up and say something about her, if you have something, a story you want to tell, we'll do a few of those. We won't do a lot. We'll do a few. If you want to get up and say something about her, we'll do that. Then we'll end with the two songs. And thank you so much for your patience and for being here. It's just, you don't know what it means.
So we're going to do two now.
Do that.
And two at the end. Okay. We've got, there's one thing David said I want to correct. Okay? He said, if you're so inclined to sing along. That's not right. I want everybody in here to be so inclined and sing along. One thing I will tell you, and then we're going to sing the first song, which is How Great Thou Art. Nothing about Vickie. She loved to sing. And she loved to sing with lots of people. And she loved to sing and have the building filled with song. I'm begging you today, let's fill this entire building, this venue up with praise to God, singing out loud, and singing praise to God, and singing in honor of Vickie. So I'm just going to start. You fill this building up with praise. Oh Lord my God, my awesome wonder, consider all the worlds thy hands have made. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout I know this was one of Vickie's songs. She asked me to sing this song more times than you can imagine. 548, Lily of the Valley. Sing this one with a fast pace, so let's keep it moving because it's a song that I know she enjoys. I have found a friend in Jesus, he's everything to me. He's a fairest of 10,000 to my soul. A lily of the valley, in him alone I see. All I need to cleanse and make me fully whole. In sorrow he's my comfort, in trouble he's my stay. He tells me every care on him to roll. He's a lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. Only all my griefs has taken, and all my sorrows borne. In temptation he's my strong and mighty tower. I have all for him forsaken, and all my idols torn from my heart, and now he feeds me by his power. Though all the world forsake me, and Satan tempt me sore, through Jesus I shall safely reach the goal. Hallelujah. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. He will never, never leave me, nor yet forsake me here, while I live by faith and do his blessed will. A wall of fire about me, I've nothing now to fear. With his melody my hungry soul shall fill. Then sweeping up to glory, to see his blessed face, where rivers of delight shall ever roll. Hallelujah. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for singing out. It's quite so powerful to hear everybody sing praise to God in a difficult time. My daughter Jen's going to come up, and granddaughter Elle are going to come up and say something. Then daughter Joni will come up here and say something as well. Oh, before I do that, I got one. I forgot Steve. Steve, go up and do your cowboy poem first, and then we'll let these guys talk. Our good friend Steve Melton, he's a cowboy poet. He's written a couple of books of poetry, and he's also with Vickie love to read his poems, go through and do these. So he's going to share one with you today.
Thank you, David. David, I know how much you like books, and I think you'll appreciate this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read a passage out of Revelation 22, or 20, verse 12, Revelation 20, verse 12. And that's going to set the tone for this. It says, I saw the dead, small and great, standing before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged according to their works by the things which were written in the books. So with this theme in mind, I've written a book called Our Book. And it's going to be about each one of us writes a story of life. And I'd like to share this with you now. It's called Our Book. Each one has lived a story. Every day of life is a page. If we compare it to God's book, will we be more like it as we age? The length of our story is not important, for how many pages are in our book. What matters is how we use them. Did we serve others, or for opportunities even look? Each story is important and unique, as everyone turns the pages of their life. Learn to read their saga of accomplishments, joys, and strife. We can learn from their examples of a life that went right or wrong. Make every note and word beautiful as we play and sing our own song. We each have been given a book to write. Sometimes it's hard, but it's necessary. There's a due date coming for all his books. God will collect them into his divine library. God will index every book. The Lamb's Book of Life, he will compare and see. Is ours a masterpiece or not fit to read? Top shelf or bottom, what shelf will it be? So, everyone has read Vickie's book. And I think everyone in here can agree Vickie's is top shelf.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that. Steve is best man at my wedding. They did so much good and I get this together. Nobody has to have up there to be part of it. So, okay, so Jen and Elle, y'all come first, and then Joni afterwards, and then we'll let anybody who wants to get up and say something have a chance to do it.
Thank you, love you. Ladies, there's 4 or 5 seats up here, maybe 2 over here. Kelly, Susan next to John. I don't want you to be standing the whole time. It's uncomfortable. My mom would have wanted you all to be comfortable. I'm not a cowboy or a pastor, so I'm going to do my best to get through this. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm Jennifer. I feel like I know and love all of you, but for those who don't know me, I'm Vickie's eldest daughter. I've had 43 memorable years with the most incredible woman God ever put on this earth. Over the last few days, my family and I have been surrounded by love, tears, hugs, flowers, food, and beautiful stories from friends, family, co-workers, acquaintances, and people from the community that in some way were touched by my mama. I have received texts, phone calls, gifts, and visits from people all over the world that want to share in my grief and support our family in any way they can. Thank you all from the bottom of my broken heart for all of your love and support. I can tell you until I run out of breath how much I loved and respected my mama. But for all of you to be here and everyone that has reached out and made the effort to offer comfort and share her loss, it has become more and more apparent every day the magnitude of love my mama had for every single person she met. And to have had a large majority of her love showered on me my whole life is a true blessing and honor. As far back as I can remember, my mom always put her family first. For a little while, it was just me, my mom, and my little sister Jess going through life. My mom worked as a paralegal at the time, and we spent a lot of time at my Nana and Papa's men's fine clothing store in downtown Ocala. We hung the sign in memoriam. I remember my mom coming in to pick us up, always beautiful, dressed to the nines, and even though she was tired from her long days of dealing with lawyers, she came in singing some bog 80s pop song, dancing, smiling, and hugging on us. You will be hearing a lot of these songs after the service. I hope that you'll find them fun and sing along. She would then make a home-cooked meal for all of us to eat together. More often than not, someone from the church or work, a neighbor or family member, would pop in, and she would just add another place setting. Our home was always open to anyone and everyone who needed it. She instilled this value in me from a very young age, and to this day, my friends, family, and acquaintances know they always have a place at my table. We always have room to stay, and there are no phones allowed at my meals. My mom was a crazy good cook and was known around town for her catering, event planning, her cake shop, Betty Cakes, and her famous chicken salad. One of my friends recently said, I think it would be a really nice memory of your mom if you just made a big bowl of chicken salad today. I said, okay, Ari, thanks. My mom taught me to cook, clean, and all things that housewives do, to respect the man of the house, but also to be an independent businesswoman. She taught me to love God and live an honest, ethical, spiritual life, to always treat my neighbor as I would myself, to always do the right thing, and no matter what may come my way, it is always in God's plan. She used to tell me that God knew me before He gave me to her, and even though it may seem like my path is full of rough terrain and may seem dark ahead, these obstacles were placed there for a reason. And she was so right. Sometimes God gives us the difficulties to remind us that we do have immense strength that comes from His love and creation and placement of people in our lives who we may not realize we need until the time comes. All of my life I have referred to my mom's friends as Aunt Chris, Aunt Pat, Aunt Nancy, Aunt Betsy. The list goes on and on. I realized just today that I share this with my daughter and her aunts, Auntie Susan, Auntie Kelly, Auntie Mickey, Auntie Jenna, Auntie Allison. My mom taught me that friends are just as important as family. They're the family we choose. My mom was the most godly woman I know. She spent her whole life living the way He wanted her to. She became a preacher's wife when she married Dade, and the shoe could not have fit anyone better. Every Sunday, my mom would dress us up, pile us in the car, always a few minutes late, of course, and we would sit in the front row of the church and listen to our dad preach. We knew every song and every Bible verse by heart, and God forbid if we fell asleep, she was quick with a pinch or a well-placed nudge that no one else seemed to notice. We went home after mingling for an hour after church, where she would somehow throw together a feast to feed 20 people, and we would have lunch with all of our friends and family in our home. She would clean that up, and then back to church we went in the evening. Mama was always quick to put my sisters and I in our place. Back talk was not tolerated. She seemed to have a wooden spatula on her at all times, and our sarcastic comebacks did not seem so funny with a burning behind. She was an expert at driving with one hand while removing her flip-flop and swatting at anything she could hit in the back seat when we were arguing. Really. Now that I'm a mother, I fully appreciate her dedication to raising us to be respectful, well-behaved children, despite being outnumbered by the three of us. We could never outsmart her. My mom was a very intelligent woman. Her forte was American history, and she was constantly embarrassed at my lack of knowledge on the subject. We recently went to New York City and went to see Hamilton on Broadway. She dutifully quizzed my daughter, Elle, as to the facts surrounding the story. When her eyes cut to me for the answer, I dumbly replied, "Hey, you guys decided what school I attended. It's not my fault. I'm just here for the music." We all laughed and then were subjected to a history lesson during the intermission. My mom turned 70 in December, and some of my family took her to her favorite place on earth, Anna Maria Island. There was nothing more that my mom loved more than sitting on the beach, floating in the Gulf, and spending time with her kids. We could do this for hours. This particular trip, we rented a golf cart, and all 6 of us piled in there and rode up and down the island for hours, singing along with Mom's favorite hits at the top of our lungs, hitting speed bumps so hard we had to stop and repair the car. I was driving. We played games at night, laughing until our stomachs hurt. We watched the sunset and talked about everything going on in our lives. I filled her in on my friends she hadn't seen in a while, gained some insight into helping my daughter thrive and grow up, and shared giggles about family matters and everyday happenings in Dade City. There is a very short list of people who I've allowed to care for my daughter, and my mom was at the top. She has helped me tremendously over the past few years, coming at the drop of a hat to grab Elle from school, spend the night with her, decorate cakes, attend her dance recitals, and just be with her in any way she could. I'm almost done. I am so grateful for Elle and I to have been able to spend this time with her after she retired. We have never been closer. We spoke every day, and every conversation was filled with love and laughter. My mom was the person I called when I needed a mental jump start. She was the first call when I got my first nursing job or had the flu. My first call when I found out I was pregnant, when I cried my way home from dropping my daughter off at her dad's house, when we opened our first hotel and restaurant, when I launched my business, and when I got my first client. I have no regrets in regards to my relationship with my mom. I know the last words I said to her were, "I love you," and I know that she knew how much I appreciated her unconditional love and support throughout my life because I told her every single time I spoke to her. My mom was the matriarch of our family. She was the glue, the common denominator that kept us all together. She loved wholeheartedly, never ever judged or forced her beliefs on anyone. Even if you were not a Christian or living a Christian life, however that may be defined for you, my mom held a place in her heart for you. She prayed for you and was there for you. She could and did put her own self aside to be the mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend that we all needed at any given time. I am certain that my mom loved me more than anyone ever has. She loved me even though I have made some terrible mistakes. She loved me even when I was not living a textbook Christian life. She loved me despite my poor choices, living arrangements, bad jokes, marriage and divorce, and supported me in every aspect of my life. She prayed for me constantly. Her prayers worked. I know they did. Between her and my Nana, God listened to them and amazing things happened. Remember my lost earring on Christmas Eve? It was the funniest thing. We were walking back from church to Christmas and I lost a gold earring in the driveway. It was very sentimental to me. My sisters and I searched for it for the better part of an hour with a flashlight and couldn't find it. Next day we went out in the daylight, gave it an hour and gave up. My Nana was sitting in her room at my mom's house and I went to hug her goodbye. She said to me, "Honey, I've been praying that God will help you find your earring. Just try one more time and take your mom out there. I've told him to help her find it." My mom rolled her eyes, grabbed her sweater and said, "Well, I guess I have to at least pretend to look for it and make her happy. Otherwise, I'll never hear the end of it." My sisters and I, my daughter and my mom went out to the street and my Nana appeared at the front door with her walker. My mom hollered at Nana, "Mom, don't come out here. It's too cold right now." My Nana replied, "Vickie, I'm not dead yet. I'm coming to help." Well, I don't know how much help you're going to be with all of us out here, and I'm blind as a bat anyways, and, well, is this your dad-blamed earring, Jennifer? You all must be blind. It's right here on top of the pavement. My mom tosses my lost earring to me, turns around, and walks back inside shaking her head. We all stood very still and stared open mouths, watching my mom help Nana inside. This is the power of prayer. This is the power of godly women. This is just one silly example of how both of these women have a direct line to God. I know with all of my soul that my mama has helped, maybe even saved every single one of us here in one way or another with her prayers. Imagine what she is whispering in God's ear right now. Some people say that they are looking for a sign. They see feathers, feel a warmth, a breeze, or the sudden appearance of their lost one's favorite animal. I feel that every time I look at you all sharing in my grief. I feel that every time I look out my door at the white sand, the blue-green ocean, and my beautiful daughter's brown eyes. I hear it when the waves break on the shore or the wind whispers in my ears. I'll keep waiting for my special sign from my mama in heaven, but it may just be that she has been such an integral part of my whole being that every beautiful thing in my life is directly from her. I will look in the mirror and see her. I feel the light she nurtured inside of me shining out to everyone I meet. She used to sing "You Are My Sunshine" and "This Little Christian Light of Mine" on a regular basis. I don't think I realized how bright my light is until recently. I got my big heart from my mama, and her positivity and love for life is vibrant in me. She always hosted Thanksgiving, Easter, and Christmas in her home. My family each has asked me, who will keep us all together? Who will make the turkey, beef tenderloin, and ham? Whose house will we stay at? I make this promise to you today. I will happily take on her role as matriarch to this family. I will continue to represent her values, her beliefs, her hospitality, friendship, goodness, snarky sense of humor, caring, unconditional love, forgiveness, and godliness for the rest of my life, not just in her honor, but as a pleasure. She raised me to be and do all of these things with grace and ease, and I have always done my best to make her proud. I am deeply saddened that she will no longer be here to supervise me in my efforts, help me with my gatherings, and laugh with my friends and family. She will no longer be here to snuggle up with my daughter and I before we go to sleep, be my first phone call, or scoff when I mistake the sugar for salt in her kitchen. She stored it in a sugar container. I will host the holidays. All of you will always have a place in my home, no matter where I am or what I'm doing. I can be your rock. I can be your first phone call. I will pray for you, cook for you, hold you, sing and dance with you, cry and laugh with you. I am proud to carry that likeness, and I know my mom was proud of me. I believe she knows she raised a strong, independent, forgiving, loving, spiritual, family comes first woman. I know this to be true because I believe it takes one to know one. In the words of Maya Angelou, a great soul serves everyone all the time. A great soul never dies. It brings us together again and again. I love you, Mama. I miss you so much. I know that Papa is holding you close in heaven until we can see you again. Thank you.
This is my granddaughter, Elle, 10-year-old.
I don't really have a big introduction right now, but try my best. So I'm Elle. I'm Vickie's granddaughter and Jen's daughter, and I really loved her so much. She was my favorite grandma. And Dad too, but and from the very first Christmas, with love and presents, to the time she got me a Valentine's card with a bunch of cards and love. She cared about so many people, but from the time she most cared about was making everyone feel loved and happy. The Betty cakes made her such a great cook and baker, but we all loved her cakes the most. Her love was spread like a big ocean. It traveled far and wide. She always made everyone laugh with her jokes that nobody got. She could make the best food, no matter what it was. No matter what type of meal, she always added gravy to it. We all waited for Christmas to come around so we could gobble up all the food that she made with the gravy. The Thanksgiving food was the best when she made it at Christmas. We were all waiting for it. We we opened presents, and she always got the best presents. Everyone would laugh about, and she would get Joni pickle gummies, me markers. My mom would, she would get some weird type of candle that we always loved. And it's crazy that there's 400 people here to know that she had a good social life and that everyone loved her to come here. We all loved her so much. It was so hard to let her go. I hope you guys have a good time. God bless you.
Thank you, Alex. What a tribute. What a tribute. Joni, you're next.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. It's hard to know what to say. How can you begin to capture the essence of such a magnificent person in such a short amount of time? Just the few minutes that I have here. In my mind, Vickie West was the archetypal mom. Forget Beverly Cleaver, it was Vickie. Mom was the epitome of momitude. She was the paragon of momness. My sisters and I hit the jackpot, is what I'm saying. She was the best. She was love personified. She was a caretaker beyond compare. She was always looking for a way to make her loved ones' lives easier. She always assumed the best in people and expected the best from her kids. She had strong convictions, and she taught us to be the same. Sometimes that meant that we butted heads, my sisters and I and Mom, but never, not even for one moment, do I think any of us ever doubted that she loved us with her whole heart. She cherished us, she supported us, and we knew it. Those same admirable qualities meant that Mom was the person to go to for advice and reassurance. People brought her their burdens, and Mom helped make them lighter. It's just what she did. It was a service she provided not only to her immediate family, not only to her extended family, not only to her church family, but to anyone in the community that she saw who was in need. Everyone who needed her felt her touch. I think that many of us are feeling the weight of those burdens again now that she's gone, but I think it's easy for all of us to imagine the common sense suggestion, a little piece of wisdom she would give us to make us feel better, or the big hug that she'd give us after the conversation to let us know that we were loved. Over the last few years, my relationship with Mom grew stronger and stronger. We began to understand each other in new ways. We talked on the phone for hours. We would plan outings that we could do together and schemes we could hatch. Corey, your birthday's coming up. I'm so very grateful for that evolution in our relationship, and I wish it could have gone on for decades more. We thought we were going to have Mom until 100. She was so full of life and so healthy. Like Jen, the last thing I said to Mom was I love you, and I expect Jess probably was the same. I'm proud of that. But if we're being honest, the odds were pretty good that that was going to be my last words to her. In my family, we say I love you as easily as we breathe. Sometimes I collect 5 or 6 on my way out the door, or in the last 2 minutes of a phone call. We couldn't help but say it. Mom made sure of that. She wanted us to know that we were loved at all times, and she succeeded. How can you capture the essence of such a magnificent person in such a short amount of time? I'd like to make the attempt by sharing with you some of the precious moments that define her in my mind. I'm riding in the back seat of her van after school as the radio plays the hits of the 80s, 90s, and today. That was Mom's station. We're both singing along to Goo Goo Dolls, Matchbox 20, Sheryl Crow, any number of 80s, 90s, and today, many of which you'll probably hear on her playlist after we go back to mingling. And Mom always did her iconic shoulder shimmy dance in the front seat. She couldn't help but move. In another memory, my wife and I are opening the door to Mom's house as our puppy rushes in past our feet. Mom's at the stove, the oil in the pan is crackling. The delicious smell of supper hits us first, followed by an enthusiastic, "Hey, sweetheart!" The way she always greeted us. I go up behind her and I wrap her in a hug, feeling her warmth. I'm walking into Betty Cakes at lunchtime. The tables are full, but I manage to grab one near the window. Mom notices me come in and brings 2 chicken salad croissants, one for me and one for her. While we eat together, she tells me about all of the friends who have come in to see her today. Her smile glimmers in the sunlight. I'm sitting on the couch next to Mom, watching Jeopardy. It's our nightly tradition. She gently scratches my back to show her affection, and I lean into her touch. I sigh peacefully. I put down my Beanie Babies and I walk to the kitchen. This one's an old one. Mom is finishing up preparing a tub of Cuban sandwiches for our annual week-long Anna Maria Island trip. We leave tomorrow, but the car is already packed. She wants to have her toast in the sand by noon. Thanksgiving dinner is ready, but Mom won't let us eat until we've gathered and sung Papa's song together. She and her sisters sing the loudest, heaven on their mind. They're sure their daddy waits for them there, and it's hard for them not to be happy, or for the rest of us not to be happy seeing them. Finally, I'm a preschooler, and Mom is reading me a book before bed. It's one that's very special to her. She says it makes her think of me. The mom in the book says to her child, and as she reads, Mom looks at me. "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as you're living, my baby you'll be." We get to the end of the book. The mother is old and frail, but the child is there to take care of her. She looks at her mom, she takes her hand, she leans in close and she says, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, your baby I'll be."
Sharon's got, her sister Sharon's got something she'd like to say.
Very short. Originally, okay, just in case. She has a copy, just in case. I'm Sharon Trautman, Vickie's younger sister. Thank you for coming to remember and honor Vickie. And most of all, thank you for all of your prayers for David and the kids and Mom and all of us. I'll leave it to David to talk about his wife and the kids to talk about their mom. I'm going to tell you about his sister before you met her. The sister ordered of Sandy, Vickie, and me. Sandy enjoyed only child status for 7 years, and Vickie came and a quick 2.5 years till I arrived. Vickie and I were constant playmates / mortal enemies, usually on the same day. Mom worked every Christmas upstairs at Sears to buy her toys and Barbies. Then she would make our Barbie clothes, and we would spend hours and hours playing together. Sandy said, "You gotta talk about the Barbies." Summers were spent together at home while Mom worked at the men's store, which they eventually bought. We'd sleep till noon, swim at the neighbor's pool, and eat cold leftover spaghetti and a bowl of cake icing Vickie would make from scratch for breakfast. We were destined to be part of Betty Cakes down the road. School wasn't Vickie's best subject. Sandy was our National Honor Society member and star pupil. Except for Vickie's excellent typing and secretarial skills, book smarts weren't her thing. But she had street smarts and common sense, which would serve her much better in her life. She was a take-charge, confident woman. Her first job out of school, as David mentioned, she was 17 years old. She was to be the very first secretary of a brand new fledgling Hillcrest School for Children with Disabilities. She set up the entire office and filing system for their new principal and half a dozen instructors. She was so talented, something I never saw till she wasn't at home anymore, except for the fact that she was an incredible seamstress. She would go buy a simplicity pattern Saturday night and make a dress to wear Sunday morning. Oh yes, and a very good cook. She started cooking dinners for our family as young as 12 years old, when she explains her 25 years successful catering business as an adult. She was creative, crafty. Some of her most cherished times were spent on her screen porch with Grandma Bailey creating beautiful ceramics together. She once accused me of having a Vickie museum of all of her ceramics in my house. Don't you ever get rid of anything? She said. Sandy, being the oldest by 7 and 9 years, was gone by the time Vickie and I hit the preteens. While Ken and Sandy were serving our country as a Navy family for over 30 years, and Ken was called to serve in many different places, I guess Vickie and I depended more and more on each other, and playmates and fighting siblings became the best of friends and confidants. But most of all, her life with David gave her the opportunity to shine her light for Christ more than ever, which has been confirmed by so many people this past week with all the posts, calls, cards, and personal comments to David and the family. Thank you, sister, for all the late night talks, Christmas shopping together, the memories from the Tampa Bay Ladies weekends, telling us Grandma Bailey stories that made us laugh until we cried, and being one of my biggest cheerleaders. I love you and will miss you so, so much until we see each other again.
Well, this is kind of running longer than I thought it would, so we don't hear too much more, but Nana, I want to thank you for raising the daughter you did, that I got to enjoy for 35 years as my soulmate. The Lord took care of us. And so I want to give a few people a chance to say something if they'd like to, but I want to kind of hold it fairly short, and we're going to get to eat, and everybody's got, I know people got lives to get back to. But I just want to thank everybody. I'm going to give thanks in 2 songs, but this, if somebody, Jen, you said you want to take a, okay, if somebody raises their hand and wants to say something, she's going to bring a microphone to you to say something. So if somebody just wants to say something, we'll take it to you.
Don't be shy. We all know
You want to tell the story about it?
Anybody got anything they want to share or? Good? All good?
Everybody's fine. That's good.
Okay.
And we also have the opportunity to write a little note if you'd like to, or something in the shadow.
Thank everybody for meeting. There's lots of people here in Ocala.
Yeah.
I love them all. And
Yeah.
I need
And the support systems here too.
And I need
And,
to help some of my lots of friends and that you know, even some of the ex folks.
So, thank you each one of you. And yes, okay, Carla wants to say something here.
I can holler, I just too loud. I know there are other people more worthy than I to stand up and say. But one thing I'm going to say, when I lost a son, 25 years ago, and David and Vickie were the first ones there to touch me when I got back to my home. Y'all have been a part of my life more than what you can even imagine. And I know I haven't been there in return like I should have been. However, I was with Vickie not long ago, and just the intimate things that we talked about. And the one thing that I wanted to say is she wants us all to be there for you, David. She loved her children very much. And I'm going to go ahead and say this. We have our children, and we don't agree with everything that they do or say, but they're our children, and they're sisters and brothers, and they need to hang together, and there is a family because of times like this and others. And so, you know what I'm talking about. Be there for one another. Don't let love or separate your family. Because we need this. We need this in our heart. And thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you.
If anybody else wants to think a couple things you more want to okay, so, all right, thank you. lot of food here. If you want to eat and visit, we'd love to see you. I'd love to talk to you as we have time to. So, okay? So my comment is, I want to thank, I mean, there are so many people, Black Eyed Pea Restaurant, the Loving Hands Ministries, Bridgeway Church in Wesley Chapel, Dade City Church of Christ, Cindy Waller. Cindy's amazing, providing this place for us to use. I figured there'd be a lot of people here. We needed something big enough to hold everybody, and even that wasn't big enough. But thank you, everybody, for your generosity, your love, your kindness. It moves me deeply. Yes, and Betty Cakes, by the way. Do you remember Betty Cakes? We actually have some Betty Cakes here today, so if you get a chance to get some for dessert, you're one of the lucky ones. It reminds you of how much we miss all that. Okay. So, all right. So we have a prayer for the food, and Tim lead us the last two songs. The last song is "Singing Be Happy." It's a joyful song. We're here celebrating a life. We're crying, but we're celebrating a life. So let's just have a quick prayer. Tim lead the last two songs, and then just move around. I guess there'll be people trying to get the table set up and things for us to eat. And there's a ton of food here. We'd like you to stay and visit with us if you will. Let's have a prayer. Lord, I thank you for my life with Vickie for 35 years. I thank you brought her into my life and she blessed me so much. I'm never going to forget her. She was so wonderful to all of us and sets us a good example for us to show us how to live. I know she's with you and I wouldn't bring her back for anything. I want to go with her. I just ask you to help me to continue to run the race until I get there. Bless all the broken hearts that are here, not only about Vickie, but there's people sitting here today that have recently lost loved ones that are sitting there hurting right now. I ask your mercy and grace upon them too. Help us to comfort each other. Help us to love each other. Help us to be kind and good to each other in the days ahead. Let's not stop it here. Let's go continually. Let's make that the way we live. And bless us as we eat the food that's been provided, and we're looking forward to spending a little time visiting. And thank you for all those who have traveled. It means so much to me. They don't know how much it means to me for them to do that. And you're my rock, Father. You're my God. And I praise you. The Lord gives, the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. And also thank you to Noah's business for helping us with the food. There's so many, I'm skipping people, I'm sorry. There's so many people. Thank you. Okay, Fred, I'm going to lead the last two songs, and then we'll dismiss. Thank you again. I love you all.